What's going on? Big Mike, D717 Outlaw, back with you here today. So finally, we're going to be starting to crank on Dad's bike. Now, I did just go through and rip off the gas tank because that's partially what we have to do to get this thing going again. So whenever we got this bike again, this was a free bike. A guy that my dad worked with said that it had been sitting under a tarp for about 2 years. It had a fuel leak. He wanted to work on it and try to get it running, but at the same time, he just doesn't ride anymore. So my dad was saying about getting a bike to ride with me, especially since I have the RD project that is getting close to being done, and I have my Harley. So my dad figured fix this up, make a bobber out of it, and then we can go to some bike nights and things like that. Plus, it's fuel efficient. I mean, honestly, motorcycles, yes, in some aspect, they are dangerous to some, but they're fuel efficient. They make you, honestly, to me, they make you a better driver because you have to be very aware of your surroundings and things like that. But Dad's always had bikes. He got me into Suzukis, and sure enough, this ended up being a Suzuki. So we're gonna just tear into this and hopefully get the bike to run on its own. The biggest thing that we had issues with is it would run with the choke on. When you turn the choke off, it didn't seem like the idle would come down. So I'm thinking that the air fuel's out of whack and we just couldn't get it dialed in. So we're gonna go over the carburetor, make sure that it's good. We're going to fix the fuel leak that is coming off of the, I say petcock, but it's where the fuel line or the fuel comes out of the tank. There isn't a valve like a petcock, but there is almost like a splitter that goes to, I'm assuming that this is a mechanical fuel pump. So, or at least a vacuum style fuel pump. So I'm assuming that that's where the issues are occurring, that it's either not getting fuel out of the tank or it's pulling air into that system somewhere or another. But tank's off. We're gonna go ahead and check over the tank and probably pull the carburetor just to make sure that everything looks good. We do have a rebuild kit. We do have the hopeful fix with new gaskets to go on that kind of petcock mechanism that's on that. And yeah, hopefully in this video, we'll have this bike up and running under its own power, maybe take it around the block just to see how it feels. But we're gonna be working on Dad's bobber today. Looks like we'll get lucky. This looks like it's just running a big single carb. There's not duals, which I was a little worried about because of pairing or syncing. So looks like we might get lucky here and have that being pretty simple. The only other thing too, Dad did notice a fuel leak coming from back here. I'm curious if maybe a fuel line's not cracked, because I think this is the fuel pump, because there's a line that does come back here and I'm thinking that might be our fuel pump. I thought it was this, but I'm really not 100% sure. I might have to just double check some research here on my phone and try to see how this bike is laid out, because we have carburetor, what could be a fuel pump, what also could be a fuel pump. This looks more like a fuel pump that I've seen like I run on my mower. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead, try to get this pulled apart and hopefully figure out our problem. Let me not break that. So there's a screen that goes in the tank. So it's either this gasket here is shot, this needs cleaning, something fierce, or something else could potentially be broken. But we're gonna try to pull this apart, see if there's a diaphragm in here. This rebuild kit that that the previous owner did have, I'm hoping is what we need to rebuild this. Oof. Alright, so it does have a diaphragm. Let me see if I can pop this line off, make this a little bit easier on myself. Ooh, that could have been our problem right there. There's a hole in this line. Could have easily been our problem. It doesn't look too bad. Run over the parts cleaning bin, clean that up a little bit, but we'll go check this rebuild kit and see, because there are two diaphragms and a plunger. So yeah, let's try to see if can diagnose this problem quick. Well, this might be an odd one. I got that piece that I was working on fixed, but when I went to put everything back in the hole to thread it into the tank, there was something blocking the hole, and I'm curious if I can grab it. There's something in the tank. What it is, I have no idea. There's something in it, like physically in the tank. It looks like a freaking rag or what in the hell is that? If not, the freaking lining on the tank is peeling. No, it's a rag, I think. What in God's name is that? It looks like a damn paper towel. It is a paper towel. It's got the texture. What in the hell? How? Oh God, there's more in there. It's a chunk of paper towel. At least I hope that's what that is. If not, there's some kind of lining in the tank that's either coming out or deteriorating. I mean, that looks like that's it. What in the world? Like, it looks like paper towel. I mean, if it is, good grief. I've never seen that before. All right, guys. Well, we took the carb apart mostly just to go over everything. This is going to be good to kind of keep on the back burner if we need it. All the O-rings and gaskets look fine. All the jets are clear. So we're just going to go ahead, put this back in. I have a feeling that that broken bit of fuel line that I cut off, which was just this, how broken up the end of this was, I think that's going to be our problem. But we're going to go ahead, throw this back on, put it together, and hopefully get the, what is this thing called again? Intruder. Get this thing up and running again. All right, well, after it taking way too long, we got everything hooked back up. We're gonna go ahead and give her a shot. I did also find, while I was putting some stuff together, the air fuel adjustment is up in there somewhere. So we're going to just kind of see what happens. Everything looked good, put fresh fuel in it. Hopefully that fuel line fixes our problem, but should be about ready to try to fire it up. Put the seat on it and just try to take it around the block. right, guys, well, a lot of prep work went into today to get this to where it was. A lot of tuning. Even though I tuned a quad carb Yamaha, I have to admit this one kind of was a little bit more finicky because it just didn't seem like it liked any of the input. But we got her idling good. I took it around the block.
Nice.
We did bring it back. We threw it on the lift because we thought that something was leaking in the coolant system, but it looks like the rubber boot that goes on the shaft output, because it's shaft drive, must have had water and condensation in it because it's just dripping rusty colored water. Has no smell, no nothing, so it's definitely not like differential fluid or anything like that, or whatever fluid these run, because I'm honestly not familiar with shaft drive. So we pulled that apart. Luckily, well, besides all the freaking cobwebs that we got out of here and all the dirt and grime, everything went good. Still a lot of work yet to get done on this, especially the stuff that Dad wants to do, but we're close. So we're going to call it there with this video. We got Dad's bike. We got the fuel system fixed. We didn't have to actually use any of the rebuilds. It only ended up being tuning, and that line was the only problem. And it probably didn't help either that I found a paper towel in the gas tank, so that was probably suffocating it so it wasn't getting fuel. Because when I originally found that paper towel, it was right where the filter goes for the fuel to come out of the motor. So more than likely that was wrapped around there somehow and wasn't letting fuel out. So whenever I finally pulled all the chunks out, it was exposing that intake filter and allowed it to cycle better. But she's running. The free bike is running, so can't really say anything negative about that. But all right, guys, we're gonna cut it there. This for me is 2 videos in 1 weekend, which should be great, so I have content for you guys. But we're gonna call it there. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Anything more about the bikes, more about the channel, check the comments or drop a comment. Check the links down below for the companies that we use to keep these bikes running. And as always, hit that subscribe button and little bell for notifications on upcoming videos. And as always, guys, ride safe, ride smart, always wear a helmet. See you.